Hello once again, boys and girls, and welcome to another test ride, this time on the BMW R1200R. There it is! Managed to get my hands on the bike that I actually wanted to ride when I tried out the R1200 RS. And already I do quite like the feel of it. I mean, obviously it's too early to really tell, but arms feel a bit more comfortably placed than on the sporty brother of this machine. Now the motor, the frame, the wheels, the suspension, I'm told that all of that stuff is exactly the same. So the engine, as before, is a 1200cc boxer twin, so the cylinders are horizontal, pointing away from each other. Got about 125 horsepower, 125 newton meters of torque, coming in at around 6,000 to 6,500 RPM. Oh yes, you know it. Sounds throaty, doesn't it? Now I am faced with the same problem as the other test ride on the RS. These tyres are pretty much new. Stickers on the left hand side this time. I now realise on the dials here, the top one is the electric suspension adjustment, or the ESA, and the bottom one is the traction control. And the top one is controlled by the knob over here on the left with the big shock absorber picture, and the traction control is controlled on the right. Now the guy in the shop, because the tyres are so new, jumped in and set it onto rain mode, but that made it kind of go as I was pulling away because it was trying to limit the power, but not in the smoothest of ways. I don't know how much better that works in the rain, but it was being really aggressive even on completely dry, relatively warm roads. It's 9 degrees today, it's practically summer. So needless to say, I've switched that back to road. I'm just gonna have to be careful, just like yesterday. So this being the R1200R version, it's in the roadster category, which means it's not really meant for screaming down the miles on the motorway, but just before we get off for some country stuff, we'll see how it does at a bit of a more brisk motorway kind of pace. We're coming up to 120 limit here, that's about 70-75 miles per hour. Oh, it picks up beautifully. Even pulls from 80 miles an hour in top gear. Needless to say, there is a lot of wind on my chest right now. I'm getting it round about the level of my sternum, so this screen is doing something, but it's not doing a huge amount. It's also nice and smooth. There's almost nothing coming through the handlebars. I'm getting a bit of a buzz from the foot pegs though. Oddly, it feels like I'm getting a bit more of a buzz from the foot pegs than I was getting from the RS. Oh no, this isn't my turning. You can pick up the pace so quickly. Engine is just ladles of steaming smooth torque. I bloody love it. 120 kilometers an hour, about 70 miles an hour. The mirrors are buzzing very slightly, you can probably see that yourself, but not so much that you can't see what's going on behind you at all. Now you can try and tuck in behind the mini screen, but I'm just getting an absolute battering on my forehead right now. I think it was obvious it was going to happen, but I do believe that too long at this kind of speed would be very tiresome. I'm really pushing into the wind, so maybe as a long distance mile cruncher, this kind of setup, this roadster, isn't the way. And obviously without that little screen it would be even worse. So motorway it can do with ease. It's definitely got the power to be overtaking at speed, jumping into gaps where you need to, and to be keeping up with the pace, but comfort wise not the greatest. Picks up so very lovely. At lower revs, we're about 3,000 doing 90 kilometers an hour right now. The mirrors jump around a lot more, but that's obviously just because of the engine labouring a little bit, I imagine, so switch that up. It feels very composed, it sits well, and I feel like I'm a lot more in control of it than I was with the RS yesterday. The wider bars just give me much more of a powerful, in control feeling. Good brakes. Also a lot easier to keep upright when you're barely moving. Again, because of those wide bars. I'm a wide bars man, what can I say? I like wide bars and I cannot lie. Now, thankfully this one comes with heated grits because it is only currently 7 degrees now that we're out of the city. But as usual with BMW, heated grips are an extra. They probably cost the blood of your firstborn to get them fitted from the factory. We will go this way. I remember, these are the Margaret Thatcher traffic lights. These lights are not for turning. Terrible impression. Oh, come on. That's just rude. Gotta be now. So you can't get over that weave to the left when you rev it. Watch this. So strange. Endlessly we are allowed to leave. The indicators are now all on the left-hand side. There's none of this right-hand, left-hand nonsense. So the information on the clocks, we've got all sorts of bells and whistles here. From the buttons on the left-hand side, we control the trip counters, of which there are 2. You can also, from the left-hand button, look at your info, which currently we've got outside temperature. Then there's the engine temperature, range, fuel consumption 1, fuel consumption 2, and then your average speed. Oh, and the RDC. Not really sure what that is, but it's pressure, so I'm guessing that's something to do with the tyres. I don't think this has a turbo. And then the date to finish. Oh no, there's another one. Style. I don't really know what that is though. Gives you points for style. Currently I've got 0. Screw you, BMW. On the right hand side you change the heated grips. There's 3 steps. Off, 2, 1, back to off again. And then the mode for the traction control between user, rain, road and dynamic. And then back to the left hand side you can turn the ABS on and off. There you go, that's off. Little triangle with a circle around it saying you are in serious danger now, pal. And then change the suspension settings. Once again, dynamic, road. It's just dynamic and road actually. So you can be dynamic or you can be on the road. You can't be dynamic on the road. And then the obvious indicators. Oh, there's cruise control. And that's all the knobs and whistles. There is adjustable reach on both the clutch and the brake levers. 4 steps. I don't know if it's a standard, but this has got braided steel brake lines. Imagine that's probably an extra. And I do think this whole area would look a lot better without this great big GPS monstrosity in the way. All of the switches and things, they seem pretty good quality. They're a nice hard matte plastic, no rubber that's going to wear away. Oh, a pop and crackle. Love it. The bars actually look like they belong a lot more. On the RS they had this weird kind of scaffolding system to put some clip-ons onto the same clamp. I didn't really like the way that that looked. But these, it looks a lot cleaner. It's a lot neater. Never thought I would say that a naked bike looks neater and cleaner than a faired one. Now the brakes are pretty solid. This one's got ABS. Oh, I just kicked the cylinder with my bloody shin. I did that a lot on the RS as well. If you look, they're offset. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that with the fisheye effect, but the right one is further back than the left one. That is amazing. The engine will go all the way down to nearly 2,000 revs and it still feels smooth. It's not jumping, it's not stuttering, it's purring a little bit. I imagine if I were to try and pull away it would labour a touch, so let's not do that to the poor old thing, eh? It's still impressive how smoothly it still pulls at such low revs. Feels very sprightly for such a big bike. Considering this is a 1.2 litre engine nestled betwixt my thighs, it is surprisingly movable. My hands are getting a bit warm, so I'll just cool down the heated grips. Easily reach with the index finger there on the right, and it shows you on the dial here what the setting is. Off, 2, 1, off. But the clocks on this bike are exactly the same as on the RS. I think they look like they belong a lot more on this bike. They just look like a stuck on aftermarket part on the RS, but on this one they fit with the look of everything. It looks clean, it looks neat. As I said before, I think the screen is too shiny. With the sun up there, all I can see in the dials right now is the reflection of the white stripe on my jacket and the silver of the handlebars. Not overly conducive to getting the info all that quickly. Further not helped by the pretty cheap looking LCD. This dial has an analog speedo and a digital tacho with that bar that jumps up there. All the information on there is displayed relatively clearly. I think it's a little bit cluttered perhaps, but once you get used to it, you can find what you need to know relatively quickly. The screen appears to be not adjustable. He's quite keen to jump into the bends. Not really bends though, are they? Where's the country roads gone? An hour without any twisties. The roads around here are crap. So here we are doing 50 kilometers an hour with about 2,500 revs. And just a little flick in 3rd gear of the fly-by-wire throttle, and check out this torque. That's impressive, isn't it? So much pull from so low down. The peak is at 6,500, but it's usable from the start. I haven't actually seen the torque graph for this bike, but I imagine it must be relatively flat because it doesn't feel like there's no surges, there's no powery bits. It's just thick, smooth 1200cc torque. I just kicked the cylinder head again. Now while we're gently cruising along here at 80 kilometers an hour, 4th gear, that's about 50. I'm getting like a continual brrrr through the foot pegs. It's quite pronounced. I don't know if that's the sort of thing that after a while would kind of get on your tits. All the more reason not to do 80 kilometers an hour, eh? So it feels quite solid in the sweepies. No twitching, no wobbling. The only twitching is in my bum because of these slippery new tyres. Certainly feels more nimble than I imagine a 1200cc bike has any right to be, if I'm honest. It doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel stiff. Effortlessly pulls through the corners in 6th gear. It's just got so much grunt. I'm just amazed by the smoothness. I'm not sure if that's something that comes with the format, with the Boxer opposed twin layout, or if it's something BMW have done themselves. Now the throttle is fly-by-wire and it's incredibly responsive. Makes it a little bit difficult to take smooth, slow-speed corners like that. I was a bit jerky there. I'm sure that's something that you could get used to, but it is very direct. And let's not forget as well, it's got this great big shaft drive monster on the back there. So there is zero slap, no softness or waggle room whatsoever in the drive shaft. It is pin sharp. I think the mirrors have a much more cheap air about them than the ones on the RS. Not only are the optics a little bit more wobbly, they're kind of a bit squashed and not completely true, but also the housing is quite cheap plastic. You can see the moulding lines. Not really my cup of tea. They would be going onto the eBay conveyor belt quite quickly after purchase, I think. These roads are so dirty. Oh, these roads are dirty. Let's go down that little track there and see if we can't find somewhere nice to have a look at our bits and jubblies. A little bit of green laning on a borrowed BMW, eh? So there she is, BMW R1200R. It's quite a chunky beast, isn't it? I like the look of it. It's very solid, looks muscular, means business. It's wide, but I do think that the way it feels and the weight of it doesn't match up with the width and the hefty look of it. I love the single-sided swing arm. A smaller, less shiny pipe would be nice, so you can really see how open that swing arm is. And of course, it has a tubular steel frame using the engine as a massive stressed member. It's joined on here, here, and here, and everything is just hanging off of the engine, or the engine is hanging off of everything else, depending on which way you want to look at it. It's got a massive single rear shock absorber, which, as we've already discussed very briefly, is adjusted by this bad boy here. Massive upside down forks, which are steering damped, keep things from getting too wobbly, with these monstrous radial mounted Brembo brakes, which are incredibly sharp. As you can see quite clearly, the bike has a center stand, which is a nice touch. Sure, that's an extra as well though. Brembo's on the back too. The great big parallelogram action shaft drive there. It's got these bars on here, I imagine for some kind of pannier action. Once again, with BMW style, I'm sure they are an extra, which you're going to have to spend a few bob for. This one, strangely, has got Metzeler Z8 tyres on. The RS had Michelin Pilot Road 4s. Not sure if that's a standard thing or if it's just the two options you can have. Who knows? And it's got LED driving lights on the front, which come on in the daytime, and then the headlights come on automatically at night. I quite like the way they look. That's pretty mean. Tiny little screen. Costs just £42,000 to have that added to your spec list. It does a lot better than having nothing, and if nothing else, it protects the clocks from getting smashed by stones thrown up from the cars in front of you or overly inquisitive sparrows. LED indicators all the way around. I mean, with everything. The caveat is, with all of this stuff, it could all just be extras that you have to pay extra for, because that's BMW style. This one, another extra, it has the keyless start, so at the moment the key is in my pocket. Thus, we push the main button, little animation, all your lights light up, and then hit the start button. Gives you a nice brap on startup. I like it. And considering it's a standard can, it sounds quite brappy, quite blarty, I think. I could actually live with that for a little while before needing to change it. We get into the seat by this little jobby here. The back seat pops off, and then the front seat just comes up on its own. So you've got a little bit of space there to put some really flat sandwiches, maybe a squash banana, and no room at all at the front. It's all taken up by the battery and some other electrical nonsense. And there's a power socket under the seat there as well. So, I think that's about it. Let's get back on the road, start heading back into the city. Oh god, I've just noticed that. The valve for the tyre is in the wheel. That is some crazy space age stuff, man. That's such a great idea. So easy, absolutely effortless. Oh dear, I've got 10 minutes for a 25-minute journey. Might have to actually buy it. So, what do I think of this bike? I really, really like it. I had a bit of a lust for a ride on one of these a little while ago when I saw that they'd got rid of the parallelogram front suspension thing. I never got to try it, but it just didn't seem, I don't know, don't like it. I prefer a standard fork, I think. Prefer a good fork, and I'm not disappointed. It's really torquey, it's quite sprightly. It's no sports bike, but you could chuck it around in the bendies, I think. I just really wish I'd had a few more twisty roads and maybe a pair of worn-in tyres to properly test that out, but it feels good. I feel very comfortable on it. My knees are perhaps a little bit hunched up, but you can choose to have a higher seat, which is about 2 inches taller, which it would make all the difference with the peg to arse ratio. Now the screen, of course, for stuff like this, it's more than adequate, and for a summer ride as well, it would be great. I mean, I put the tiny little screen on my phaser to go to Europe on purpose because I wanted the wind on my chest. Personally, if I were to have this bike, I would probably go without a lot of the bells and the whistles. I'd probably even dump the keyless start. But if money were no object, of course it is really cool to have the key in my pocket and not have to worry about putting it in, turning it, forgetting to take it out, taking it out to get into the seat, taking it out to unlock the fuel cap. So there's a whole level of motorcycling faff which is removed by the keyless system. And unlike the Harley Davidson 883, when you press the ignition button, it takes off the steering lock. So you can't start the bike with the steering lock on. Well done, BMW. So overall, a really nice bike, really good quality, really good solid feel, but without feeling heavy in the riding. You can throw it around a little bit. It has buckets of torque for the odd overtake. Almost addictively so, I would say. Oh, and I found out that this gummy wheel rider's distraction thing is actually the control for the sat-nav when you have that plugged in. But to get that extra, you will have to mortgage your house. Oh, it just powers you forwards, thrusted toward the future. It'll be sad to give it back. Just like the RS, the suspension is doing a wonderful job. Not too much diving at the front. I've noticed absolutely no dipping at the back from acceleration. There's been no skipping, no jumping, no wallowing. It's all very tight, very sharp. Again, I should say, sadly, I haven't been able to really ride the thing to properly test it. But from what I've seen, I'm impressed. Right, pull in. Stick some Bang Bang juice in the bottle and then head back with my tail between my legs to give it back late once again. But watch this, because the key's in my pocket still, just have to push the ignition button to switch it off and that pops open. Brilliant, eh? Don't have to get the key out or anything. Anyway, see you in a second. Once again, all done. No need to get the keys out, push the button and go. Brilliant. Seat's pretty comfortable, it's firm, but it's giving way for my bum bulges, my various lumps and bumps. It's very neutral as well. I'm not sliding forwards, I'm not sliding back. Wherever I sit, it's where I stay. Take away the faffage. I've been on the bike for about an hour and a half and I could keep riding. Whereas on the R1200 RS, I felt a little bit of a backache. My shoulders were a bit sore, my wrists were starting to get a bit achy. I feel like I could really carry on this bike and ride a lot longer. I could happily spend the day in the saddle on this beaut, and overall I would happily have one of these in my stable. I'm really impressed, I really like it. It's always the indicators at the last minute which stump me. Again, I'm having trouble because of this GPS twizzly knob jobby. It's a lot more difficult to easily get the indicator. I think that's a bit silly. Surely indicators are something you're going to use more often than changing the settings on your GPS. It's a little bit lumpy at tick over. Feels like somebody's bashing the engine that way with a sledgehammer. See the tank jump in. Yeah, small things. The gearbox is very slick, very smooth. It just does its stuff with the minimum amount of clonking and clicking, but just enough to know that it's in gear. I haven't missed a single gear on this entire test ride. I think that's a first. Although no, it was the same on the R1200 RS test ride too, but same gearbox. So there you go, well done BMW. So there we go, that's the end of that. A very good day to you. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you on the next test ride video. Take care, folks. Throw up.